Amon-Ra St. Brown, Puka Nakua, Nico Collins, Rashee Rice, or Brandon Ayuk?
Man, that's a tough one. I think because like some of these prices are a little bit inflated. Like I love Nico Collins. I put him on the thumbnail because like heading into the last couple of weeks, I was like, I think I'm going to be in on Nico. I thought Tank Dell might see a little bit of a bump and we might get them closer to similar ADPs. We didn't at all. And to see Nico and Rashee, guys who carried me in a lot of leagues, this high up in the ADP is kind of a bummer. With that being said, I think I would just rather target the chalky Amon-Ra St. Brown here, Scott. 6.9 for his ADP. I almost took him overall 6 today ahead of Jamar Chase, ahead of Brees. 119 receptions, 1,500 yards, 10 TDs. Vibes are high in Detroit still. I want a piece of it.
Yeah, that's who I would go with. I mean,
Okay.
it's different for me. It's a different ball game with wide receivers. And I think Amon, he's a top four guy, and he might not quite have the range of outcomes to finish as the overall wide receiver one. But I've been doing some breakdown analysis of just fantasy scoring from wide receivers this year. Looking at in games they were above their season long average, how high were they above? In games they were below, how far below? How many games were they above and below? And Amon-Ra St. Brown was provided ceiling and consistency. I mean, he's about as set it and forget it as it gets in fantasy football, not just at wide receiver. For me, I'm not touching Nico Collins at this price personally. I'm also not touching Rashee Rice at this price. To me, those two have been propped up way too high. In that same study, Nico Collins was one of the biggest boom bust wide receivers this year. Of the top 50 wide receivers, he was below his season average, in the games he played more than anybody else. He had like three or four spike games, and then he was below his season average at all other times. I think he's good. I like him. He's not this high yet. And Tank Dell missed a bunch of time. So Nico scares me a little bit. And Rashee Rice, I mean, I'm not risking it yet with him. I really like him. But I have no idea what the Chiefs are going to do at wide receiver, whether it's in free agency or in the draft.
Yep.
He made his bread on yards after the catch. He had the second lowest ADOT after Wan'Dale Robinson, less than 5 yards average depth of target. So to me, I need to see more from Rashee Rice before I'm putting him up in these waters.
Eric?
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered all the bases here, right? What I will say is I don't think that this is all that difficult a choice. Like Amon-Ra and Puka, sitting essentially towards like the back half of the first round are perfectly fine options.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone after that, like it gets real dicey. With Nico Collins, a lot of those spike games came as after Tank Dell was injured, right? So like
Yeah.
very legitimate question marks as to whether or not he can sustain that. Already made the points about potential new personnel coming into Kansas City. And Brandon Ayuk, while he had a damn fine season, I'm counting 7, 8 different weeks where he was wide receiver 30 or worse. Like you're taking a lot of bad weeks, drafting him essentially at the end of the second round. So Amon-Ra, Puka, I'll click the names all day, but everyone else, like I'm probably looking to pass.